Regina Edwards in a rural part of Canada. She went on to become one of the most successful country singers in the world. But behind the hit records was a lot of heartache. She's written about her life in a new autobiography titled From This Moment On. Please welcome Shania Twain. Gorgeous, talented, and she smells good too. We need smell-o-vision at home. So why did you decide to write your life story?
You know, initially I decided to write my life story to document the truth in my life for my son. Considering that maybe, you never know, I left his life prematurely. He's only 9. So you just never know. And I thought, better to leave a full account of my life while I have the chance and not take time for granted, really. Yeah.
Was it hard?
You know what, it wasn't actually hard documenting my life. It was harder to make the decision to share the story with the public. So it's totally out of character for me to do that. And there's a reason for that. It's sort of a second layer of the purpose of writing the book in the first place. Documenting my life more for personal reasons for my son, and then sharing it another level altogether.
But your life has been like a roller coaster ride. You've had so many downs and so many ups. It's like there's not been much in between. I mean, in your book you write about your stepdad being so abusive. Mm-hmm. How old were you when he started the abuse?
Well, the abuse of my mother started when I was about 4 years old. So the violence between them. You know, they had a very turbulent relationship. And the abuse, and you know, then I started getting involved with that. I got a little bit older. Exactly. And I started jumping out in the middle of it and then getting, you know, tossed around a little bit. And then in my adolescent years, he started to get quite psychologically abusive of me. And so
don't you think that sometimes that's worse than actual physical violence? When people start to abuse you mentally, it's hideous.
It's very, very confusing. Yeah. Very, very confusing. I'm still confused today, to be honest, as to how and why that happens. And you can't talk about it at the time, because how do you do that? But, you know, when you're a kid or even a teenager, I can't speak for everybody, I shouldn't even say it like that. Myself personally, I just wanted it to go away and just stop. So when the next day came around, you're just like, well, let's just forget about that, that ever happened. Yeah. And then you're just grateful for as much space as possible between episodes. And that's it. You certainly don't bring it up, that's for sure.
But I know there was a point where you wanted it to stop so much that you got your mom and siblings and packed them in the car to leave your stepdad.
Yes.
Were you terrified? I mean, did you have a plan?
Okay, I was afraid of him. I thought if he ever found us after this, he'll kill me, because it will be my fault.
Because I
initiated it. You know, my mother was, I mean, you know, it would go up and down, but there was a period where it was where she started talking about the only way to escape it would be to kill him. The only way out would be the only way to get away would be to kill him. And you know, that is her speaking in a state of depression. That my mother wouldn't have maybe I know she wouldn't have spoken that way when things were normal. So it's very hard for people to understand who haven't grown up in a situation like that. And I do. That's why I decided to do it in the book, and not just sitting down and giving a few spurts of it here and there. It's important to explain.
Was he a drinker?
No, he was not a drinker. You know, my father was actually a really beautiful person. It confuses people when we talk, and that's why it's so important. It was important for me to put it all in context in the book and explain around it. You know, my father was not a monster. He was a troubled person. He was a generous person. Everybody loved him. He was kind and funny and supportive. But he was also troubled by his own youth And as much as he tried to be different and to be better, every once in a while it got the best of him. And that always happened when we were under economic pressure. And then there was stress in the house, and then it broke him down, and he got desperate, and he took it out on my mother, and just on, in our domestic life. So this is a man, in a way, I would have to say was a victim of the same cycle.
I just want to be clear. He was your stepdad, but you call him your father because
Yeah.
he adopted you and your younger siblings.
Yeah.
Ultimately, your mother went back to him. Why do you think she did that?
Well, she went back many times over the years, and the very last time, the final time that we left, that was the permanent time, and she stayed. And that time there wasn't any violence after that. That last time that we left, that I'd initiated, was the end of the violence between them. You know what? Why did she go back? She went back because as much as we were struggling economically together as a family, as a single mother, she was struggling even more. And she had a lot of pride. She didn't want to go to friends and family. And so it's really hard to do that on your own.
You know, people who don't come from abusive backgrounds don't realize how hard it is to actually leave. You go back. Each time women will go back.
Because they're
There's
dragged
nowhere to
down.
go. There's nowhere do you go.
And she loved him. My parents loved each other. And on the tombstone it says together forever. They loved each other. They were, bad things happen to good people. They were a good example of that.
We're going to have much more with Shania Twain when we come right back.